Hello learners, my name is Edward Chikwata. I am going to be taking you for A-level economics. Almost everyone knows about economics because they affect the economic activities, they affect everyone in their day-to-day activities. But what really is economics? Okay, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to tell what economics is, and you will be able to define scarcity, and you will be able to think like an economist, and you will be able to explain the reasons behind economists using graphs, charts, and pictures. So firstly, I will define what economics is. Economics is a social science that deals with the allocation of scarce resources among competing ends to satisfy human needs and wants. Right? We have got 2 or 3 words that also needs to be defined here. Social science, scarce resources, and competing needs and wants. Social science is just the science of studying the behavior of human beings. Scarcity means the resources are in limited supply or they are finite, right? Competing ends shows that since the resources are in limited supply, the needs of the human beings are endless and they are unlimited. So with this problem, we come up with the problem of what? Of scarcity. When we say resources are scarce, we mean they are not enough to satisfy the limited needs and wants of human beings. What are needs? Needs are those things that human beings cannot live without. For example, shelter, food, and health. Needs, they can even include education as well. What are the wants? The wants are those things that people want to use, but they may not even, they can live without, but without being themselves affected. People need television, people need cars, people need aeroplanes, but they can live without those things, right? In economic decision modeling, we have got 2 main assumptions. The 2 main assumptions are, the first one is ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus is a Latin word that assumes that other things are remaining constant or are changing. And the other assumption is rational economic decision making. When we say rational economic decision making, we are assuming that the consumers are behaving in a way that they want to maximize their satisfaction from their economic decisions that they will be making. We have got 2 branches of economics, which are microeconomics and macroeconomics. In microeconomics, we'll be dealing with the individual units such as a person, a household, a firm, or an industry. So in microeconomics, we'll be dealing with the rocks, the sands, but not the beach, right? From microeconomics, we go on to what is known as macroeconomics. The word macro itself means large or whole. So with macroeconomics, we'll be adding the aggregate of those individual units and treat them as if they were one whole. So we'll be dealing with the whole economy of a nation, the economy of a region, the economy of an industry, etc., etc. From this, we go on to what are known as economic resources. What are economic resources? These are productive units that are used to produce goods and services. And the 4 main economic resources that we have are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Right, what is land? Land includes all the natural resources on the Earth's surface that we use for agricultural purposes, for mining, for quarrying, and for fishing. And land also includes the marine that we use for fishing, etc. From the land, we go to the labor. Labor are the physical and mental efforts that people use to produce goods and services. Physical, they'll be using their power. Mental, they'll be using their brains. From the labor, we go to the capital. Capital are the man-made units or productive units that are used to produce other goods and services. The man-made units, they include machines, tools, equipment, and factories. From capital, we go on to what is known as entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship is actually the act of combining labor, land, and capital for the purposes of having a profit. For example, an entrepreneur is a person who combines land, labor, and capital and innovate and produce goods and services for the purposes of making profit. Right from the factors of production, we go on to what are known as renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are resources which are being continuously consumed but are renewed by nature constantly. Right? They are not used up. The examples of renewable resources are solar energy, hydroelectricity, and biofuel. From there, we go into what are known as non-renewable resources. These are resources which replenish up and can be used up without them being renewed. It took thousands of years of time to form the non-renewable resources which exist inside the earth in the form of coal, fossil fuels, and mineral ores. But those resources cannot be renewed in our lifetime. So we have to make greater care when using these non-renewable resources. And it is from these non-renewable resources that we find the problem of what? Of scarcity. Right? So that is where our main problem is coming from. Our needs are many, but the resources are scarce. Learners, we are now continuing with our economic problem, right? From these scarce resources, we come up with the basic economic problem. The basic economic problem is the problem of unlimited wants. Why do we have unlimited wants? And what are unlimited wants? Unlimited wants refers to the desires of consumers to obtain and use various goods and services which provide satisfaction. The reason for us having wants unlimited are, firstly, goods eventually they wear out, so they need replacement. For example, clothes. When you buy your shirt, it doesn't last for a lifetime, right? We need to replace them, and people normally they get fed up with that they already own, but those resources will not be renewing themselves. And new or improved products that they become available, and people, they normally want things that are trending. For example, when you buy your phone today, in 2 years' time, there are new types of cell phones. You also want to get those new types of cell phones. But the resources from the Earth's surface are not increasing or renewing themselves. So the basic economic problem gives rise to the basic economic questions. The basic economic questions. There are 3 basic economic questions. 1 is what to produce. 2, how to produce. 3, for whom to produce. Right? Since there is scarcity, economies, they have to make choices for the goods and services that they have to to produce, right? They also have to decide on how to produce those services, those goods and services, using the factors of production that will be available to them. They also have to decide for whom they are producing those goods and services. The rich, they want luxuries. The poor, they want basic necessities. So the choice has to be made as for whom to produce those goods and services, right? So these choices of scarcity, they give rise to what is known as opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative that has been foregone as a result of our choosing the alternative that we would have chosen because of the limitation in our resources. For example, if I've got $1, I have got two options, either to buy biscuits or to buy bread. So the opportunity cost of me buying bread are the biscuits. The opportunity cost of me buying the biscuits are the bread. I cannot buy both of them. That is opportunity cost, right? There is opportunity cost at the different levels of society. There is opportunity cost at the individual level, the level of the firm, and at government levels. The individual level, if one decides to grow more potatoes in the garden, he has to forego growing something else like carrots or vegetables. At the firm level, with limited capital, a company can only decide to produce it can only decide to produce up to the limitation of the amount of the capital that it has at any point in time. If we decide to produce cement, we cannot produce at the same time bricks, for example. And at government level, limited tax revenue may mean that a decision to build new schools we will have to forego or we will have to have the opportunity cost of building hospitals. So the opportunity cost of building schools will be hospitals. So with this opportunity cost, we come up with what is known as a production possibility curve or a production possibility frontier. Production possibility frontier. Frontier or a curve. With this production possibility curve or frontier is a device or a graphical tool that helps us to analyze the process of scarcity and opportunity cost. With this production possibility frontier, we are assuming that we are only producing two types of goods. Right? We are faced with an economy which is trying to decide on whether to produce pharmaceuticals or agricultural products with the same type of resources. So this one will be agricultural products. This will be pharmaceuticals. Right? If they are producing 10 units of agricultural products, maybe they are also producing 10 units of pharmaceuticals. If this nation is producing 10 units of agricultural products, it means they are also producing 0 units of pharmaceuticals. They've got only 2 options. So with this curve, it's concave in nature like this. I will explain the reason, right? They cannot produce more of agricultural products without foregoing less of pharmaceutical products. For them to produce more of agricultural products, they've got to produce less of pharmaceutical products. So along the boundary of the production possibility frontier, it shows productive efficiency. Productive efficiency. Productive efficiency simply means we are fully utilizing our resources. That is along points A, B, and C. Any point inside the production possibility frontier shows that we are not fully utilizing our resources. For example, point X. And any point outside the production possibility frontier shows that we cannot reach this point with the available resources. For example, point Y. So our learners, we can take a break. This is the production possibility frontier. We are continuing with our lesson. We are still continuing with the production possibility frontier. Now we are talking about the movements in the production possibility frontier and their implications and the reasons behind those movements. Right, with the production possibility frontier, we can have an outward parallel movement along this. Right, this movement from this point here, from A to D, shows economic growth. And this comes up as a result of improvements in technology or more availability of labor or a discovery of a mineral that wasn't available before. Right? There is another movement from this point here to this point here. This shows negative economic growth. And this comes up as a result of natural disasters, for example, droughts or wars, etc. Right? There is another movement in the production possibility frontier. These are agricultural products. These are pharmaceuticals. Right? On the horizontal side, we can see that there is a movement from B to B1. This comes up as a result, or maybe of more training for pharmacists, for pharmacists, and new methods of producing pharmaceuticals that are better than the previous methods. But there won't be any improvements in agriculture because the improvement has only happened, the improvement in technology and training has only happened for pharmaceuticals. From then on, we go on to the reasons behind the concavity of the production possibility curve. This one shows that there is an increase in the opportunity cost or the marginal rate of transformation. For example, the machines that we were using to produce agricultural products are not the same machines that we'll be using to produce pharmaceuticals. So there has to be a transformation from in those machines that were producing agricultural produce to them being made to produce pharmaceutical products, right? So it will take a bit of some time, so there will be an increase in opportunity cost or the marginal rate of transformation, right? That is why it is concave in nature and it is not a straight line because the opportunity cost is not constant. So we have got another curve, opportunity cost curve, that is constant, right? This one can only happen when the two goods are related, right? so the opportunity cost will be constant. It will not be, it will be the same, or the machines that we're using are simply the same. For example, we were producing bread, but we are now producing buns. The machine that we're using for producing bread is the same machine that we'll be using for producing buns, so we'll produce a production possibility curve like this one. There's another inverted PPC, right? These ones, they show decreasing opportunity costs, and these decreasing opportunity costs, they come up as a result of economies of scale. So, for example, we were producing a complicated product, but we have not decided to produce a lesser complicated product, or we are now using complicated machines that produces more goods per unit, so we will have an inverted production possibility curve. What is division of labor? Division of labor refers to the act of assigning individual workers to different tasks which form part of a production process. So division of labor is also a result of scarcity, because a human being cannot have all the skills. The skills in human beings are scarce, so we have to divide the individual skill units to their most best appropriate units. So it occurs when a production process is broken down into different parts or steps or parts each, and of which is performed by an individual worker or a group of workers. The reasons are that it saves time, and it enables workers to be allocated to tasks they are best suited at. And it enables workers to develop specific skills. And it makes mechanization possible. And it leads to better quality. So learners, as I'm rounding up this lesson, we have learned what economics is. We have defined scarcity. We have shown how graphs are important in analyzing economic models. We have learned the two assumptions behind the economic model building. We have also discussed about the human needs and wants, what our needs are and what our wants are, and we have listed the factors of production and how they solve the problem of scarcity in economies. And we have also talked about the renewable and non-renewable resources, and we have talked about how the non-renewable resources give rise to scarcity, and how do we solve the problem of scarcity and the different choices that nations have to make for them to improve production. And we have learned about the production possibility curve and the opportunity cost. And we also have analyzed how the production possibility curve can be used to analyze the production of goods and services and to solve the problem of limitations and the problem of scarcity. Thank you, learners.